If you live in Green Valley Phase 2, then you've probably seen the gym flyers pasted at every estate junction that read Iron Temple, GYM, build bodies, strengthen bonds, and transform lives. It promised a free couples fitness program for 3 months and had a picture of a laughing woman in waist-snatching tights perched on a muscular man's broad shoulders. The text boasted of fast, fat loss, stronger abs, and a happier relationship. It seemed harmless and more helpful, at least at first, and that was how 3 couples from the same Green Valley estate decided to join. Tammy and David had just gotten engaged. Their traditional wedding was 3 months away, and Tammy, the perfectionist, had been obsessing over their upcoming pre-wedding photo shoot. David, on the other hand, was a gentle soul with a growing stomach and a passionate love for soft drinks. He believed love was enough, but Tammy believed in the power of the camera. "You will look like my uncle in those pictures," she told him one evening, while poking his belly with a makeup brush. "Please, let's join this gym together. I can't start explaining to people why I am marrying a man whose belly is bigger than my hips. Please, you have to either lose the fat or lose me." David rolled his eyes and muttered something about body positivity, but he eventually agreed. "Anything for peace," he sighed. The second couple was Stella and Ben, a married couple in their late 30s who had been together for 7 years. Their marriage was stable. Well, stable in the way an old table was, useful and dependable, but full of small cracks that no one wanted to admit. They didn't fight, but they didn't laugh much either. The passion that once made Ben rush back home at the thought of Stella now lived inside their gas cylinder. It was still there, but no one had lit it in months. As such, Stella had suggested the gym as a bonding idea. "We need to sweat together," she said, trying to sound playful. But Ben, who was more interested in his Premier League betting than bonding, grunted in agreement. He didn't like exercise, but he also didn't like the way Stella had recently started scrolling through pictures of muscular men on her phone. So he agreed then. There was Sammy and Michael, the newest couple of the 3. They had only been dating for 10 months, but already, Sammy's insecurities were sprouting like weeds. Michael was tall, well-built, like someone who had no bad angles, and he was dangerously charming. He didn't ask for attention, it followed him like perfume. While Sammy, in contrast, was laid back, always doubting herself, and constantly checking his Instagram followers. When he said he wanted to join the gym to bulk up and tone his chest, she immediately suggested they join together. She didn't say it out loud, but she was scared he would meet someone stronger, sexier, and more shameless at the gym. The couples arrived at Iron Temple Gym on a Saturday morning with matching water bottles, optimism, and enough tension to power a light bulb. The gym itself was a shrine to vanity. It had floor-to-ceiling mirrors that forced you to look at yourself even when you didn't want to, and neon lights that illuminated the dumbbells like holy artifacts. Their welcome instructor, Coach Danny, had the kind of body that made men want to punch him and women want to touch him. He had sculpted arms, a neat beard, and a voice that dripped like syrup. He welcomed the couples with too much charisma. "Welcome to Iron Temple. You'll burn fat, build connections, and fall in love with yourself all over again." David whispered to Tammy, "I don't trust this one. Why is he smiling like he owns everybody's hearts?" Before she could reply, another instructor walked in, and the air changed. Zara, popularly called Queen Z, was the yoga and cardio trainer. She walked in as if she was floating, and her hips swayed in rhythm with her headphones. Her sports bra was too tight, her waist very tiny, and her aura was unmistakably dangerous. She greeted them with a wink and a stretch. "Ladies, I will teach you how to unlock your strength. Gentlemen, try not to fall in love." Sammy's heart jumped, and she clutched Michael's arm tighter. The couples were led to their first workout session, which was partner stretches. It seemed fun enough. Everyone was laughing, out of breath, and trying to remember how to squat without falling. But somewhere, between the stretches and the cool-down jog, Queen Z gave David a compliment that made Tammy raise an eyebrow. "You are surprisingly flexible considering your body type. I like men who listen to their bodies." Meanwhile, on the other side of the gym, Coach Danny was helping Stella adjust her form. He placed one hand on her hips and told her to move slowly so you can feel the stretch. Ben, her husband, was a few steps away pretending to adjust his shoelaces, but he saw it. He didn't say anything though, at least not there. After the session, they all gathered at the smoothie bar, sipping protein shakes. The mood was lighter, but beneath the jokes and gym selfies, something was changing. Everyone smiled and laughed, but their eyes were beginning to roam. That evening, all three couples went home feeling sore in the body, but stirred in the spirit. Stella watched Ben scroll through Queensy's Instagram page and saw he had followed her. Tammy found a gym towel in David's bag that didn't belong to him, while Sammy opened Michael's phone and saw that he had followed a girl named @Riri_Snatch_Queen just 15 minutes after the gym session ended. And just like that, the gym that was supposed to build bodies and strengthen bonds was looking like it would do the opposite to their relationships. By the second week, Iron Temple Gym had wrapped itself tightly around the lives of Tammy, David, Stella, Ben, Sammy, and Michael. What started as a simple pursuit of fitness was quickly turning into something else entirely: an obsession, an escape, and a seduction. Their morning routines gradually changed. David, who once grumbled when Tammy asked him to fetch water from the fridge early in the morning, now woke up before her, laced his running shoes, and sprayed his perfume before going to the gym. Tammy was getting uncomfortable about it, but she said nothing. Meanwhile, Queensy had started hosting her own special core stretches session at 7 p.m. It wasn't in the general schedule, and only the loyal clients were invited. David, as it turned out, had received a special invite from her. When Tammy raised her brow, he reassured her, "Don't overthink it. It's just stretching." "Stretching what exactly?" she muttered under her breath. In another corner of the estate, Stella and Ben had begun to drift without even realizing it. Stella now found herself lingering at the gym longer than necessary. Her new favorite machine was not the treadmill but the lot pull-down, because it was conveniently close to where Coach Danny trained his clients. Coach Danny had taken a particular interest in her form. He said she had the potential to build an elegant back, and Stella had blushed like a schoolgirl in love. After their sessions, they often chatted by the water dispenser. Coach Danny would ask questions Ben hadn't asked her in years. "What music do you like? What's your favorite cheat meal? Who were you before you became someone's wife?" This last question hit her harder than she expected. She didn't answer that day, but it echoed in her mind later that night as she lay beside Ben, who was already asleep and snoring. As for Sammy, she had become the unofficial detective of the group. Every night, after her sessions with Michael, she would go home and comb through his social media activity. She noticed he was now following new women who looked like gym mannequins with wide hips. But one particular account caught her eye, at @Riri_Snatch_Queen. Again, Riri was a fitness coach in quotes with no certificates. Her page was a catalog of tightly cropped photos with her face barely visible and her hips very much present. Sammy noticed that Michael had liked more than 5 of her posts, left a fire emoji on one, and DM'd her a simple "Where do you train?" When Sammy confronted him, he laughed as if she had accused him of stealing the moon. "Babe, relax. It's just social media. I follow everybody. Do you also follow me with the same excitement?" Sammy snapped. It's not that deep." Yes, it was that deep. She knew it, but he didn't. One evening, all 3 couples crossed paths at the gym for the first time that week, and it was awkward. There were too many half-smiles and dry jokes. David hugged Tammy too loosely. Sammy glared at Michael's phone the entire time, while Stella came in wearing a new pair of very tight leggings she didn't tell Ben she had bought, and Ben noticed Coach Danny give her a wink. They all knew something had changed, but no one dared to say it yet. And so they all left, pretending they didn't notice a thing. But in the parking lot, as Tammy turned to put her water bottle in the car, she saw something shocking behind a tinted gym window. Queensy was filming a video, her usual seductive yoga content. Well, it wasn't strange, only that the man in the background holding the camera for her and laughing shamelessly was David. Tammy blinked, hoping her eyes were deceiving her, but they weren't. It was indeed David, her own fiancé. The same man who said he had late evening spin class and told her not to worry, was sweating and smiling at a woman's back. She didn't confront him immediately. Instead, she got into the car, shut the door, slowly, and held the steering wheel for 10 minutes in silence. Her fingers were shaking, and her thoughts were loud. Was he cheating? Was it just a video? But why was he even inside the yoga room in the first place? At home that night, she cooked dinner as if nothing happened. She served him and watched him eat like an innocent goat. "How was the gym?" she asked, pretending not to know. Mad session. The coach drilled us really hard." "Did you do spin?" she asked again. "Spin? Nah, we did mostly weight training tonight," he replied, Not realizing he had already lied, Tammy smiled to herself and nodded, but now she knew she could no longer trust the man eating in front of her. That night, she didn't sleep well. She kept hearing Queensy's voice in her head, try not to fall in love. Meanwhile, Sammy was fighting her own battles too. The more she tried to stay calm, the more things started getting suspicious. Michael had changed, not small change, big change. He was now spending longer hours at the gym than even the gym instructors themselves. He would shower at the gym instead of at home, and he even started locking his phone. One day, she saw a WhatsApp chat pop up briefly on his phone. It was from Riri. Love, I missed your hands on my waist. Sammy's chest scattered that day. However, she didn't talk or scream. She just took screenshots with her phone and waited. Then she created a fake Instagram account and followed Riri. But what she saw made her heart drop. Riri posted a video at a smoothie bar, laughing with a man whose face was slightly hidden. But Sammy recognized Michael's wristwatch, the same one she bought for his birthday. It's him, she whispered to herself. That was it. She didn't wait. Again, that evening, she followed him to the gym quietly and watched from outside. Then she saw them together. Riri touched his chest like it was her own, and Michael did not even protest. He only smiled and whispered something into her ear. That was the moment Sammy walked straight up to them, pulled Riri by her hair, and shouted, "So this is the protein shake you've been drinking." Michael jumped. Riri pulled back and tried to defend herself, but Sammy was not having it. She created a scene, and a crowd gathered. The gym manager even tried to separate them, to no avail. Riri screamed, "You are mad," and Sammy replied, "Yes, I am madly in love with a fool." Somewhere across the estate, Stella and Ben's marriage was entering dangerous waters. Stella was no longer her gloomy self. She was glowing, but not for her husband. She was spending longer hours with Coach Donnie, laughing at his dry jokes and texting him motivational quotes she never shared with Ben. One evening, Ben decided to surprise her. He arrived at the gym earlier than usual. When he entered quietly, he heard laughter from the instructor's office. The door was slightly open, so he peeped in, and there was Stella sitting on Danny's desk with her hand on his arm, giggling like a teenager. Danny was whispering something, and Stella said, "Stop now," and then she playfully pushed his chest. That push stabbed Ben in the chest like a hot knife. He didn't enter. He turned, walked out, and went straight to his car. For the first time in his marriage, he cried. Ben, a full-grown man with a beard and a builder's body, cried in silence. The gym had stolen something from him, or maybe he had allowed it to go. That night, all three couples were in different houses with different kinds of silence. Tammy stared at David as he snored peacefully and innocently. Sammy blocked Michael on all platforms and started packing her things, while Ben didn't say a word to Stella. He just lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Even when Stella tried to touch him, he shifted away. By the end of the 4th week of their gym membership, the truth was simple. Nothing was the same anymore. The tension between Tammy and David had reached boiling point. Tammy could barely look him in the eye without remembering the scene she saw Queen Z stretching in front of a phone that David was holding like a proud assistant. He hadn't confessed. He hadn't mentioned the private sessions. She waited, hoping that maybe he would explain, or maybe he would even lie. But he didn't, and that silence made it worse. One evening, she waited for him to come back from his usual evening gym session. As soon as he entered the house, smiling and sweaty, she stood by the door. "How was it today?" she asked. "It was very intense. Leg day, it was a killer." She looked at him for a long time, and then said, "David, were you with Queen Z again?" He paused slightly just for a second. Then he laughed it off. "Ah, that woman. No, I just passed by her class small." Tammy swallowed the lump in her throat, but she said nothing. She simply nodded and walked away. That night, she sat in the bathroom alone with tears in her eyes. She wasn't sure if she was crying because of the betrayal, or because she didn't even have enough proof to fight with. Meanwhile, Michael had still not heard from Sammy since the fight at the gym. She had packed her things from his apartment, left his house keys on the table, and blocked him on every platform. He tried to reach her through a mutual friend, but Sammy only sent a short reply. "I am glad I escaped you now than later." The words stung. He went to the gym that evening, and Riri welcomed him with a full smile and open arms. "You look tense. Come, let me stretch you out." He didn't resist. They went into the private stretching studio at the back. where the lights were dim and the mirrors were foggy. What happened there was never spoken out loud. But the next morning when Michael looked at himself in the mirror, all he could see was guilt-wearing muscles, and still, he didn't stop. After all, a little more sugar won't kill. At the same time, Ben was walking through his days like a man in a fog. He hadn't told Stella what he saw at the gym. He didn't confront or accuse her, but he simply began to pull away. He stopped joining her for workouts and started sleeping in the guest room, using the excuse of midnight prayers and back pain. But Stella wasn't stupid. She felt the gap between them growing like a wound. And deep down, even though she hadn't physically cheated, she knew she had crossed emotional lines with Coach Danny. That afternoon, Coach Danny sent her a voice note. "You are glowing differently these days. I know you are married and all, but if I had met you first, I wouldn't have let you go." She listened to it over and over, and then deleted it. That evening, while Ben was scrolling through his phone on the couch, she sat beside him. "Are we okay?" she asked. He looked at her briefly, and then turned back to his screen. "We are fine. You don't touch me anymore. You don't even talk to me anymore." He dropped his phone and looked at her fully now. "Stella, who are you seeing at the gym? Why do you silence your phone every time you are around me? Why do you wear makeup before going to asterisk? Sweat. What happened to us?" Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out because she didn't have a good answer. Across the city, the gym was still booming. New clients kept coming, Instagram stories were still going up, and Queen Z had posted a video of David again, this time during a partner yoga challenge. Tammy saw it, and this time, she didn't just cry. She called her best friend, packed a small bag, and left the house to go and breathe. Not because she had confirmed the affair, but because she no longer needed confirmation. Sometimes it's not the lie that breaks you, it's the way someone looks you in the eye and keeps pretending like nothing is wrong. And then one day, all their secrets came out in the open, in the least expected way. It started with a phone thief, a small-time hustler named Yuch, used to clean equipment at Iron Temple Gym. He wasn't officially staffed, just one of those boys who hung around doing odd jobs in exchange for exposure. One evening, while cleaning the back hallway near the staff locker room, Yuchi found a forgotten phone charging behind the smoothie counter. It belonged to Queen Z. He didn't mean to snoop at first, he only wanted to find the owner. But when he saw a message flash on the screen that said "still thinking about last night," "You are bad," his curiosity swallowed his sense. He clicked into her gallery, then her WhatsApp, and what he found there could scatter marriages in a second. Queen Z had recordings, voice notes, pictures, and screenshots, mostly of herself. But in several of them, there were men, married men, men in the gym, men she had trained, touched, stretched, and seduced. Some of the messages had names, some were saved with emojis, but the messages were clear. There was one from David. "Can we keep this between us? My babe suspects something already." Another one from Ben. "Yes, Ben, the married Ben. I can't stop thinking about you. Z, you make me feel alive again." Yuche didn't know most of these men personally, but he recognized a few faces, and more importantly, he saw the chat where Queen Z forwarded a video to Coach Danny and captioned it, "Another one bites the dust." Uch was angry. Angry that these people had so much drama, angry that they disrespected their partners, and, more importantly, angry that no one had ever given him a free smoothie. They always looked condescendingly at him. So he did what many angry, jobless Lagos boys would do. He leaked it by the next morning. The messages were on Twitter, screenshotted, and posted anonymously with the caption, "This gym in Green Valley is where married men and women go to train. Bofta and lose their homes. Read the chats. Don't say I didn't warn you." It exploded within hours. Bloggers picked it up. WhatsApp groups were boiling. TikTok creators began dramatizing the voice notes, and some even made comedy skits with it. Iron Temple Gym became a trend, but for the wrong reasons. Photos from Queen Z's gallery were included, with blurred faces. Yes, but they were still recognizable if you knew the person well. So Tammy knew. She saw the clip of David behind Queen Z, doing what looked like assisted back stretches, except that it didn't look like stretching at all. Her hands were on his thighs, and his hands were too close to her waist. Sammy also saw the leak. She had been healing slowly, spending time with her cousins in Thriller, but when she saw Michael's name trending under the topic Gym Goat of the Year, she knew it was over for good. Riri's voice notes had been leaked too. "If he wants to bench press me, he better put the ring first." It was said as a joke, but everyone knew she was serious. As for Stella, she didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Ben had not said a word to her since the leak, but she knew he had seen it. However, the one thing that left her shattered in her own shame was that Ben wasn't exactly innocent either. While Stella was busy forming emotional chemistry with Coach Danny, Ben had been getting physical with someone else entirely, Queen Z. She just sat on the toilet floor in silence and disbelief. This was worse because it was two betrayals in one marriage. She had thought she was the only one drowning in guilt, but Ben had already built a whole underwater swimming pool. They were both cheating in different ways. The next day, Iron Temple, Jim released a statement on Instagram. "We are deeply sorry for the recent breach of privacy involving some of our clients. We do not condone inappropriate relationships between staff and clients. As such, Queen Z and Coach Danny have been suspended indefinitely. We are reviewing our internal policies to ensure a safe and respectful environment." But it was too late. Clients had already stopped coming. Iron Temple Gym was now a scandal zone, and the damage could not be undone. However, a few brave souls started commenting online. "It's not the gym, it's the lack of boundaries. Discipline is not proven by staying in temptation zones. No wonder the Bible said to flee from temptation. Respect your partner, even when no one is watching." But for the three couples at the center of it all, this advice had come too late. They had stretched trust too far, and now it had snapped. For days, David had been texting Tammy nonstop, calling and leaving voicemails. It was just attention. "Tammy, I didn't sleep with her." But the more he talked, the more she realized something. It wasn't about the physical acts. It was about the mindset. And it was worse because he didn't think anything was wrong. He came to her house that evening, and she just looked him dead in the eye and said, "You broke me when I was cheering for you. You lost me when I was clapping for your group." David's face sank. "So that's it?" Tammy nodded. "That's it. It's over." Sammy's own was a closed case. She deleted Michael from her memory and labeled him gone too soon. Stella and Ben's story was different and more complicated. The house was too quiet, like punishment that they couldn't escape. Stella was in the kitchen washing a plate that had been clean for the past 5 minutes. Ben was at the dining table scrolling on his phone, but he was not really looking at anything. They hadn't spoken in 3 days. 3 whole days, for the first time in 7 years. Finally, Stella dropped the sponge and looked at the plate with the kind of eyes that said, "We must talk today, whether you like it or not." She turned slowly, wiped her hands, and went to meet him. "Ben." He didn't answer. "Ben," she repeated. Ben raised his head and asked, "What?" As if he had been expecting a war. "Yes." Stella stepped closer. "I saw the leak. What's real? What's real?" he asked. She blinked. "Queensy." Ben dropped his phone slowly. "So you watch her content now?" Stella scoffed. "Don't turn this on me. Did you or did you not sleep with her?" Ben folded his arms. "Did you or did you not make your body available to Coach Danny?" "That's different." Stella defended. "How?" "Because your legs were closed, but your heart was wide open." Stella's chest rose. She was not ready for that line. It was a slap of truth. She stepped back and confessed, "I was lonely and bored. Ben, you stopped seeing me, and I couldn't help when I got the excitement outside." Ben looked at her now, "And I was tired." "Stella, tired of being talked down on every small thing. You would compare me to someone else. You made me feel like I wasn't enough." So, yes, Queensy happened. And it wasn't only once. Stella froze, and her hand landed on her chest, like a widow in a Yoruba film. "Wow, wow," Ben continued. "You think I didn't know about your little laughs and rubs with Danny? You were so into him that you started copying his protein shake recipes." Tears fell down Stella's cheeks, not because of guilt anymore, but because of grief. Grief for what they used to be, and what they had both become. She shook her head. "We didn't even try to talk to each other. We just left the door open and waited for other people to walk in." Ben looked at her, and for the first time in weeks, his eyes softened. "I wanted to be enough for you," he said. "I just wanted to feel seen," Stella replied. They looked at each other, broken, guilty, and ashamed, but still human. However, no one begged or walked out. Not yet. They just stood there, like two strangers, who once promised each other forever, but forgot to protect the present. The gym reopened after a few weeks with new staff and stricter policies. There were no longer physical training sessions between opposite genders without supervision, no private sessions behind closed doors, and no more content creation was allowed in the workout spaces. The energy had changed. It now became what it was meant to be: a place to sweat and live. In the end, the lesson was clear to everyone. It's not that gyms are evil. It's that people bring their lust into spaces designed for discipline. And sometimes, when the environment is full of temptation, it takes more than just good intentions to stay faithful. It takes boundaries and distance. Because love shouldn't just be about who you kiss. It's also about who you avoid out of respect for the person waiting for you at home. Hi besties. Thank you for reading till the end. Today is the birthday of one of us, so please, let's take a time out to wish Victoria a very happy birthday and also say a sincere prayer for her as she starts a new year. Happy birthday, Victoria. May lines fall in pleasant places for you, and may God grant you all your heart's desires. We love you so much, besties. I would love to hear from you. Have you had any weird gym experiences before? Going by the scandal surrounding gyms, who would you blame? The instructors, the clients, or the gym itself? Kindly share your thoughts below in the comment section. Give the story a thumbs up, share the story with your loved ones, and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way, bye.